wanna trap like bitch, you wanna trap like
Well, it's a very lovely afternoon here in the Windy City. Welcome to the state of Illinois, where we get set to go racing by the lakeside as we'll duke it out for round number 3 of the Speed Cup Series. My name is Ola Rambo, bringing you all of the action from start to finish here on Green Flag TV from this 2.12-mile street course. It is the first road course of what will no doubt end up being a few, as these drivers are looking set to absolutely tear it up here in the Windy City. This track It screams technicality, it screams strategy, and there's so much that is going to be in store for these drivers here this afternoon to try and get themselves sorted as we work our way into the middle portion of the championship. It is our first road course of the season of 3. The remaining 2 going to be, of course, Watkins Glen International coming up in September, and then way down to kick off October. The circuit Gilles Villeneuve will play host to one of the final rounds in the regular series season before we set things up for the chase for the cup. But right now, we got round number 3 to worry about. The point standing still tight as ever, but again, still very, very early. Still a lot of time for everything here to switch around. You take a look at how these point standings look for now. Brandon Fetterplace taking the win in the season opener at the Brickyard. 7 points ahead of Martin Plute. They remain unchanged. The biggest movers of the championship so far. Look at Ben Mashburn breaking into the top 20. He is up 12 positions. Tied for the second most. It's going to be a 4-way tie between Darius Days, Tim Branson, Jason Taylor, and of course Ryan Shelton. All up 11 positions here on the afternoon. Jason Garcias, though, only up 1 position. So your defending champion not having the best of season openers. It is an extremely competitive field this afternoon and this season, as we've been seeing all throughout the course of this season. Your defending champion under heavy fire, especially with the fact that I do not believe he is present here this afternoon, and in fact he is not. So that is going to leave this his championship in effectively a pretty precarious position as he tries to get himself worked up with some more points, and he'll have to do that later on throughout the course of the season. When we talk about some of the technicalities around the Chicago Street Circuit, as qualifying is still very much underway, and well, the big challenge for strategy today comes with a randomly deployed yellow flag. We don't know when it's going to come out. We just know it'll be at some point between the start of lap 3 and the start of lap 45 out of the 47 we're scheduled to run here this afternoon. So that's going to throw a huge wrench into the works. Field run looking to be between 22 and 25 laps for the race leaders that can run faster than a minute and a half. They should be able to get themselves through on a one stop, but it will be close. If you're running slower than a minute 30s, you should be good to go. But so far, Bobby Anderson not able to break into the 129 bracket. He is just on the cusp of 130.07 for the DSR number 5 Toyota Camry. Josiah Vincent, one of several coming across the start-finish line. He'll put that number 4 machine up to a 5th place spot right now. Only 5 minutes despite this being a road course race. It does make it extremely challenging to figure out who's going to be where. You take a look at Brandon Fetterplace, who was going to go to provisional pole, but is immediately stomped by Ethan Amberg, the Highline Motorsports driver, putting himself onto the top step with a solid 129.8, the first driver to break into that 129 bracket. So Amberg looking to be one of the quick drivers here this afternoon. Other folks looking to come across the line this time by to start their second laps. You got Dalton Powell that's currently working his way into the opening corner. He was not able to put down a lap on his first attempt. Christopher Darling trying to see if he can improve from that 5th place spot. The Hot Wheels Toyota Camry working himself up over the top side of the McDonald's Bridge and into the final corner. And down the main boulevard, he will look to put himself up to 4th. So he does improve, goes a 130.18. He was in the 131s before. So a good outing for him. Bobby Anderson trying to see if he can take Paul back as Ryan Shelton, oh boy, Shelton, looking to be the quick driver of the afternoon. The number 99 Camaro putting himself in with a very respectable 128, over a second up on the field, and less than half the field able to put down times in qualifying on what was an extremely tight qualifying session. So with that, we'll get set to see how this field's going to pan on out. Let's take a rundown of that starting grid for this 47-lap trip around the Chicago Street Course. Ryan Shelton for Vincent Motorsports brings it up in the number 1 spot. He's going to have the Highline Motorsports driver of Ethan Amberg beside him on the front row. Bobby Anderson for DSR down on row number 2. Starting alongside him is your Indianapolis winner, Brandon Fetterplace. Christopher Darling brings it up in that number 5 position with Martin Plute beside him. They will round out the top 6 and the top 3 rows as well. Moving down to that number 7 spot, Josh McDougall. For that 7th spot, he's going to be alongside Zedarius Days for Highline Motorsports on row number 4. Row 5 holds Josiah Vincent and Mark McFadden for Jawbo Motorsports. Jason Taylor for Black Flag Motorsports will start alongside Manazzi Major. Manazzi Major, the first driver not to put down a qualifying lap in a 23-car field. Dalton Powell for Highline will start 13th with Carlton Charles or Cool Runnings Racing in 14th. Stan Housen for NGR will start in 15th with Devin Purog down in 16th. Row 9, well, it's Michael Mooney for Old Guy Racing alongside the California native Tim Branson, and that rounds out the top 20 for row number 10, being Corey Hutchinson out of Florida and the Spider Motorsports machine, the Scepter Motorsports machine of Scott Leonard. Joey Barrett for Vincent Motorsports brings it up in 21st with Charles Simmer out of the Mid-South down in 22nd, and that leaves the Carolina native Matthew Mystical to close out the 23-car field. So just waiting now on the final few cars to grid on up before we'll get this show on the road, and it is looking to be an extremely intense race here this afternoon. And I can tell you right now, if I'm these drivers, I'm not looking forward to this race. I'm not as much of a street course racer myself. These cars not designed to race here at all. We're going to be looking to blast south down South Columbus Drive first off, then of course that sharp 90-degree left-hand turn onto East Balboa Drive, and then of course down South Lakeshore we'll be cutting back north up South Columbus towards that ever detrimental turn 6. Trouble spot to watch for, East Congress Plaza Drive. No doubt going to see a few incidents in there, as well as turn 4 leads us onto East Roosevelt Road. Could throw some wrenches into the works for this field here this afternoon as well. Well, with all that said and done, you've got yourself pretty much everybody lined up and ready to do battle as we get set to go racing. 47 laps about to kick off. Matthew Mystical going to be starting his race from pit road. Evidently not feeling too comfortable being down there at the tail end of this field, so he is going to find himself started from pit road. Mystical has had a very tumultuous start to his season. He's not had a lot of races to write home about so far. He is looking to finally put down a decent result this time by, but with him starting on pit road, you have to imagine that 509 Camaro not feeling super comfortable in his abilities. And of course, here we set ourselves up for one of the most treacherous and fastest corners on the racetrack, down into turn number 4, out of the kink of turn 3. The track narrows up from about 3 lanes wide down to about 1.5, and you can tell this is going to be a huge trouble spot for drivers. When the ASRL Next Gen Cup Series came here, boy, oh boy. Oh, we already had a crash before we even get through the corner. So they've crashed on the pace lap, and I think that just cements what I was talking about right there with Jason Taylor going into the wall and collecting quite a few. So the Black Flag Motorsports number 41 Mustang coming into turn number 4. He just swung that car wide and locked it up, went straight in, collected up Dalton Powell, Stan Housen, and more. Had to jam on the binders, but Dalton Powell and Jason Taylor now both with heavy damage before the formation lap was even halfway through. As if to prove a point about that corner, I don't think that bodes well for turn 4, especially on these opening laps. We're going to double it up as we work our way through that ever infamous East Congress Plaza Drive, turn number 9. We'll look to make that right in turn of the East Jackson Drive that has seen many a pileup ever since this series has started to come here in the real world. And with all that, we are ready, I think, to get this show on the road. So we're happy that you're joining us here for some Thursday night racing action. The pace car's off. It's in the hand of your pole sitter, Ryan Shelton. Takes it to the restart zone. Green flag's out. It's go, go, go in the Windy City. Hard on the binders, down in the turn number 1. Looking like everybody's going to be able to tiptoe their way through. Not seeing any problems deeper in the field. So Shelton able to put himself in front, and into the wall goes Ethan Amberg off of turn 2. He'll lose the spot to Brandon Fetterplace. And last week's winner at Mobility Resort Motegi, Ryan Shelton, leads the way down to the turn number 4. No drivers daring for side-by-side. The 51 swings it out wide, and there is going to be a bit of side-by-side in the turn 5. Jason Taylor trying to make a grab with that damaged race car. He's got to fight around Mark McFadden first, and McFadden not letting him take it easily. Oh, and Ethan Amberg into the wall again. This time down at that ever-treacherous turn 6, and now huge damage on the number 14 Highline Motorsports Mustang, and he's not the only one that's got in there deep. I think Carlton Charles with a good bit of damage as well. Ryan Shelton leading the way. We got Cedarius Days facing the wrong way at the plaza. The KFC Camaro doing a good job on waiting for a good gap before he flick spins that car back around, hugs that left side wall to keep himself rolling. Ryan Shelton leads lap number 1 to green. Let's take a look at what happened to Ethan Amberg here. This is coming down into turn 6. Trying to get in with the head of steam, chasing Brandon Vetterplace, just locked up the right front and went hard into the wall. And behind, Carlton Charles having problems of his own as he pulled way to the inside line and just hugged that wall, was not feeling confident coming around through turn 6 in the slightest. And then Cedarius Days having problems of his own as he just dropped the back end, clipped the wall with the left rear, and around he went. So Shelton leads the way, closest battle on the racetrack for the 8th spot. Mark McFadden trying to fend off that wounded Ethan Amberg. Amberg doing a good job on trying to run himself down, and well, Matthew Miskell's day not starting off well. He's already found himself in trouble. Started this race from pit road, was hoping to pick up spots as drivers found themselves eliminated, and well, did not go the way it was hoping for. Hard into the turn 1 fence. That's going to put the 509 down and out. Cedarius Days having another problem. This on the approach turn 4, clips the wall again, and looking like that may have been a hardware failure as he brings it to a stop right in the runoff area of turn 4. Battle for 8th still reigning strong. Amber trying to get the crossover from McFadden as they come down the front stretch. Oh boy, Stanhausen way in the back of the field having a loose moment off the final corner down South Columbus Drive. McFadden still doing a good job on trying to hang on to this 8th place spot, but he bobbles it out. That costs him a lot of time. Here comes Amberg with a huge head of steam. Look at the drive around McFadden, and he's going to get that job done on the run to turn 4. Amberg saw the opportunity, was not about to wait around for it to come his way again. So Amberg fights his way back to the 8th place spot. Long way to go, though, if he wants to recover himself back up to the 2nd place where he started this race from. Top 3, you can throw a blanket over them. Ryan Shelton, Bobby Anderson, Brandon Vetterplace, all making moves as they try to pull away from the field. They've pulled about a 3-second gap from Darling behind. Joey Barrett now with problems early on. Currently running down in 18th after this spin coming out of turn 5. Oh, he did find the wall too. That could be some pretty hefty damage. We'll see how that looks on that 43 car as time progresses. Ben Mashburn was looked to start this race from the front row. He not from the front row, but from this field. He will become the 24th entry to this race. He was not able to put down a qualifying lap, but he will be entering this race good 4 laps down. So Mashburn, one of a few that is going to look to pick up spots as drivers knock themselves out, and he's already going to be confirmed in at least the 22nd place. While I say that, Cedarius Days back out on the racetrack. So not out of the fight, although it might be fighting some of those technical gremlins still. Oh boy. Josh McDougall, I think, just clobbered the wall. Oh, he certainly has. You can see his front bumper dancing around in the background. That machine is hurt. He was running in 6th. Take a look. Oh boy, lost the back end entering the corner. And that is a huge high-speed spin. Goodness gracious, that was a violent impact, and you can tell how much that car is struggling. He is hemorrhaging positions right now through the plaza. Dalton Powell gets by. McFadden gets by. Jason Taylor nearly runs into the back of him trying to check up, and that's going to allow Michael Mooney into the fray in the battle for 10th. Oh, and now he pushes, he's going to push Taylor out wide, and that's not intentional, I promise you that. That car's got no steering ability. But Taylor is not going to be happy with that in the slightest. He and Devin Purog both going to get around him, and I imagine McDougal's going to be into pit road, and sure enough, there he goes. Taking a look, I mean, Taylor's just got nowhere to go. McDougal's doing his best, but he just can't execute that tight of a turn radius. So he just gets pushed wide and noses it into the tires. Now he's got a 2.5 seconds to run down Michael Mooney up the road. Bobby Anderson is into pit road, and he's had an absolute wallop somewhere on the racetrack. He was battling, he was in the 2nd spot, battling for the lead. All of a sudden, whoa, lock up and hard into the wall, big time. On board with Ryan Shelton, had a front row seat to that mess. Target fixation just got over aggressive, and Shelton let him make that mistake, and all of a sudden that's one less driver for the 99 to worry about. Drivers for the most part spreading out all throughout this field. Shelton leads from Fetter Place, from Darling, Plute, and Amber. Bring out the top 5 already. A 30-second gap from 1st to 6th alone in over a minute, down to 17th. It's about 7 to 10 seconds in difference between the times that Shelton is running compared to drivers like Charles Simmer and Carlton Charles deeper in this field. Oh boy, huge lockups there. Josiah Vincent just able to keep Dalton Powell at bay. They both locked it up and tagged the wall approaching turn 4. That could have been a nasty incident. Meanwhile, Taylor scrapes the wall, trying to stay in front of Devin Purog. So Purog struggling right now as he tries to catch up to these drivers. Oh boy! Oh, huge crash. Jason Taylor hard into the wall. Oh my. Huge wallop there. Jason Taylor made the same mistake that Bobby Anderson made. Oh, and now McFadden. A bad rejoin turns right across the nose of Scott Leonard. All of a sudden, it's all falling apart. Manatee Major had a problem as well. This was separate from all of this, just approaching turn 4. Locking up and went straight on, and he did find the wall. Then Jason Taylor, seconds later, with the mother of all out brakes. He should have started braking a long time ago, was never going to make that corner. It almost looks like the brakes failed entirely on that car. As, my gosh. Mark McFadden involved, Michael Mooney, Devin Purog, all of them with damage as a result of that mess. Just got clobbered, the 22 up and almost into the air. And then just minding his own business was Scott Leonard. And all of a sudden, just has a car turning across his nose, and he had nothing he could have done about that. That's going to be a moment, no doubt, that he's going to hope to forget about. Zedarius Days is slow at turn 1, stopped at turn 1, in fact. Shelton still hanging on against Fetter Place. And again, this was a race that I was kind of expecting was going to turn into a race of attrition, and it does look like that is indeed going to end up being the case for the afternoon. Still a long way to go, and we've taken out about a quarter of the field. We're not even 10 laps deep, still working only lap 8 in this 47-lapper. Fetter Place is on the charge, though. I'll tell you what. He is moving right now, trying to see if he can't close in on Ryan Shelton. Lap traffic getting in the way could help him out. Not in the plaza section, though. Devin Pirog is in a pit road as Fetter Place, you ride on board with him, and this does a good job of just showing how undulating and how bumpy this circuit is and how narrow it is as well. And you begin to appreciate a little bit more about just how difficult it is to try and get a pass done. We'll continue the ride on board with him all the way down to turn 4, because that's, I think, going to be the best one where we have to kind of look at it from the in-car to get a proper sense of just the immense speeds that these drivers can carry around this racetrack. Already hard on the binders, then a quick right-hand kink at a 4. Still fighting the car as he jams on the brakes for 5, and just like that, chasing after Shelton. This is the only battle within a second right now on the racetrack. He is for the race lead. Although looking like Shelton might be starting to pull some distance on the Bowie Esports number 34. You've got your 2 prior race winners in the season, nose to tail. Fetter Place scores 1 in Japan a week ago, and then Fetter Place took that win from the Brickyard. So one of them looking like they'll be going for their second win this afternoon to become the first repeat winner. Latecomer Ben Mashburn having issues down in turn 1. Just picked up the throttle too aggressively, loops the back end, noses it into the wall, but no harm, no foul otherwise. You have to wonder how long it's going to be before one of these drivers makes a mistake as well. It's one of those tracks where it'll catch up everybody. So I'm pretty sure somebody just went deep into turn 6 at the back of their shot there. You saw all that tire smoke from the lockup, but still, Shelton in front, Fetter Place second. And they've already pulled a 13-second gap over Christopher Darden behind them. Minazzi Major going to become the next car to go a lap down. They've already lapped up to 12th. And Scott Landed is the next one in the way. A lot of this lap traffic already with some pretty significant damage on their cars. I got a distinct feeling we're not going to be seeing more than about 5 or 6 cars on the lead lap by the end of this race. Scott Leonard pulls aside. He's going to let Shelton through. You know, although Fetter Place has been able to catch up to Shelton, he has been keeping him very, very honest. I think letting Shelton know, hey, just so you know, I'm here. You make one mistake, I'm going to be all over you. Got another battle picking up this one for 9th. Stan Hausman and Corey Hutchinson looking to go at it. So the Beer Street Journal, number 39, Camaro, trying to go up against the Ford Motocraft Mustang. Ben Mashburn around again on the exit of turn 5. Oh, backing it up. That caused Plute to check up behind them. Sorry, Pluto actually in pit road. That was, that may have been Joey Barrett behind them that just got around that. Tell you what, while we're watching this battle continuing to pick up, let's take a chance to thank some of the sponsors that keep this broadcast coming at you. This broadcast is brought to you by Beer Street Journal, one of the largest online collections of original content dedicated to covering beer culture, education, and the advancement of the beer industry. With thousands of articles, millions of unique visitors, and exposure in over 200 countries, Beer Street Journal is paving the way to enabling category growth, engaging a broader consumer base, and promoting better tasting beer for years to come. BeerStreetJournal.com, the best in beer. And by Brookstone Animal Hospital. Brookstone Animal Hospital is a AAHA accredited full-service veterinary, medical, boarding, and grooming facility serving Metro Atlanta with a mission to provide modern and up-to-date medicine while also tailoring care to the health and well-being of all animals. Visit BrookstoneVet.com to schedule your appointment today. Other sponsors include Twisted Steel Steak Appeal, Simrat Market, and Tires Plus Total Car Care. Battle for 9 starting to break apart. One battle that might be closing in. Scott Leonard and the Minazzi Major were within about 0.2 of a second, and now Major trying to set up a run down into turn 2. Major looks to the inside. He'll steal 12 away. Both of these drivers, of course, having had problems in the early goings of this race. That much is, I think, painfully clear for both of them. They're just trying to take measures to make sure they can make it to the end. And oh boy, Martin Blue came out of pit road, and now he is taking the tow back to pit road. Where is this? Is this approaching? This approaching turn 6. Oh, into the wall, big. Scraped all along and was just locking up the brakes, and that'll do it. So other battles still picking up around the racetrack. Drivers like Stan Hausman and Corey Hutchinson are still going at it as well as, oh no, Scott Leonard, one of the drivers that was just in a battle from Minazzi Major, having problems. So Scott Leonard, the next driver to become a casualty of the Windy City. Over the McDonald's Bridge, getting set up for South Columbus Drive, and too hot again, just locked up the brakes. Noses it into the fence. Battle to the lead, still under half a second, and they have been catching quite a bit of lap traffic as of late, and you can tell that is not where Ryan Shelton is too comfortable with. Stan Howes, the next one up the road. Shelton catching at a bad point. Could Fetter Place potentially make a move out of the plaza section? They're going to get around the inside of Stanhausen through the long, sweeping left-hander of turn 9. Back for 10. Now, looks like Shelton may have been able to hang on unless Fetter Place can take this capitalization of Shelton losing momentum to try to get him back. And he won't be able to do it. Shelton will hang on for one more. The U.S. Air Force Camaro so far leading every single lap of the night. They have lapped up to 7th now. And only about a third of the way through this race to boot, not even. Sedarius Day is the next driver with issues, and he, in fact, could have been caught by Devin Pirog. This is Days having technical failure again. Maybe that car's been struggling to get off of pit road and keep any kind of speed in it all through the night. This was Devin Pirog's incident. Oh boy. Huge hit into the inside of turn 4, then to the outside, then back to the inside. Right on board. Was already losing that car at entry and was just carrying way too much speed to have any hope on making the corner. Michael Mooney and Josiah Vincent currently working their way around the racetrack. Mooney seeing what he can be able to do as he's got himself getting around Josiah Vincent for 6th down the front stretch. So make up one more position, while further behind, Joey Barrett going to let Corey Hutchinson through in the battle for 9th. Oh, and into the wall goes Hutchinson and Joey Barrett. They both hit the wall. One straight on at turn 1, and Joey Barrett strikes the exit wall, but that buys him about 6 seconds. Corey Hutchinson, though, now with a long way to go. That's Christopher Darling, the 3rd place runner, right behind him. So the battle is on for the number 1 spot. Ryan Shelton and Brandon Fetterplay still going at it here. Less than a second between them. Shelton has not been given the chance to breathe all race long. He has been having to keep the pace up consistently. They're both still lapping in the high 129s. The only drivers even remotely close to that. Nobody else is even into the 1-minute 30s. So at this point, they're pulling away by over a second a lap every single lap quite consistently. And if you'll take a look at these lap times here from these top 2, you'll see they're pretty darn consistent with one another, save for lap 13, where they both got held up by a good bit of lap traffic. I mean, 129.9, 129.9, 129.4. Shelton was able to pull out a big gap over Brandon Fetterplace, but the 34 Bowie Esports Camry is still on a good tear, trying to see if you can close in on your race leader up the road that has so far been dominant throughout the first third of this race. Carlton Charles having a slow moment up on the racetrack. And in fact, he's not the only one. Corey Hutchinson finding a wall. That's at turn 2, I do believe. And so Darius, they stopped on the racetrack again. Looking like you may have gone into turn 1 too hot that time by. Here's Carlton Charles coming out of pit road. Just tiptoeing his way through, letting some of the lead lap traffic through, not wanting to play any games. And then this was on board with Corey Hutchinson on his approach. Locked it up, and he did keep it off the wall. Just overshot, had to reverse, and then this is with Sidarius Days yet having another stoppage on the racetrack. Although this one was him just locking up and going face first into the wall. Ben Mashburn is coming back down to pit road. He's already up to 15th. He came into this race 4 laps late and is already up 9 positions. Although that said, he was set to start up in 13th, so you know he's going to be frustrated with that, but so far, he's been doing a fine recovery drive to keep that thing stable. And Mashburn evidently going for the 2-stop strategy here, not opting to go for the 1-stopper. I say that, but now he's been in the pits for way longer than 14 seconds or so, so having some sort of issues for sure. Same story for Munatsi Major. Brandon Fetterplace once again closing in on Ryan Shelton. It's as close as it's been all race long. The number 34, seeing if he can't try to get an in. Whenever they get to lap traffic, Better Place is so much more confident, letting Ryan Shelton blaze a trail, and then he's able to just follow him right through. It lets him close the gap so significantly. But all the while, Shelton maintains his strong run in that number 1 spot. The next closest battle outside of the top 2 is 6 seconds between 8th and 9th on the racetrack. So right now, if you want close action, well, you're looking at it. On board with Better Place, Z dives down the hill. Don't forget as well, but you got that mandatory caution flag that's going to be coming out as well. We don't know when. It could have come out as early as lap 3. It could come out as late as lap 45. We're working lap 17 now. More lap traffic up the road. It's Michael Mooney. Although, oh, look out! Brandon Fenderplace way sideways coming off of turn 1. And that will cost him dearly in that battle for the race lead. Shelton continuing to head the way. So far, the top 2 have lapped all the way up to 5th place. Only 5 remain on the lead lap. Those drivers being Shelton, Better Place. Then you got Christopher Darley running back in the number 3 spot. Ethan Amberg back in 4th. And, of course, Dalton Powell down in 5th. Ben Mashburn was out on the racetrack for a moment, and he's gone around again, this time down to the plaza section. Very dangerous place to be stopped on the racetrack, but he'll be able to get through with no problems. Take a look back. And this will be a self-inflicted error all by himself. Too much speed. Clips the wall with the left rear and just loops that McDonald's 23 around. Slammed the car into reverse and immediately backed it up to get off the racing line. That's a very smart play. That was a good thing for him to do. It meant Minotzi Major didn't have to worry so much when he came back around. That was a smart play on Mashburn's part. Recognized the danger, did as much as he possibly could to mitigate it. So the battle for the lead still stands, 1.3 seconds, but closing in. Stan Hausman losing time to Joey Barrett quite consistently. In fact, you can see Joey Barrett reeling in 1.6 seconds last lap and 2 seconds the lap before that. So we could very well see this fight for the 8th spot pick it up before too long again, provided Joey Barrett doesn't make a mistake. while we watch this battle continue on. There's quite a few shows coming up on Green Flag TV that we are, of course, quite excited about up here in the broadcast booth. The big one, of course, being the Classic IndyCar Series return from their summer break for round number 8 of the championship. It's their second Triple Crown race, 500 miles, 250 laps around the Michigan International Speedway. That'll be coming at you live on both Green Flag TV and ESTV at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Later that evening, the SRO Next Gen Cup Series will be out at Mobility Resort Motegi. Now, that said, that race might not be broadcasted live due to scheduling conflicts. We may have to find ourselves doing that live today, in which case that will be re-uploaded on either Tuesday or Wednesday. Then on August 5th, it is the final round in the round of 8 for the High Tide Race League MF Race Designs Cup Series at the Darlington Raceway, setting ourselves up for the Final Four. So a lot of excitement coming up over the next several days on Green Flag TV. Battle for the lead starting to break apart. Brandon Fetterplace has not been able to keep that pressure on Ryan Shelton, so Shelton looking like he's going to start to pull away in the U.S. Air Force 99. Closing in, about to lap Dalton Powell here, potentially even before the halfway point. Not too much between the Highline Motorsports driver and the Vincent Motorsports number 99. Oh, and another hard lick into the turn 4 wall for Devin Purog. And that has forced him to take the toe to pit road. And then when that was all going down, Josh McDougall having this mess on the approach down towards turn 1. Oh, locking up the brakes with Scott Leonard. Too hot, and they both went into the wall. McDougall, the one that lost the bumper. Leonard didn't have a bumper to lose. Within a second now, the battle for 8th. Stan Hausman and Joey Barrett both going at it, both thinking, hey, I could have a chance to take this 8th spot. Now the big question, who's going to want it more? Hausman locked up there into the penultimate corner. That lets him get a pretty big drive down towards the final turn, but Hausman shuts the door. Joey Barrett too far back to make a look. They're both delicately fed in the throttle. Josiah Vincent is into pit road, just shy of halfway. Big question is still remaining. When is that yellow flag going to come out? We know it is coming. We just don't know when. And I doubt these races will get much of a heads up, if any, to let them know when it will be arriving. This whole racetrack really is a big deal of trial by fire. The top 2 coming to pit road. So Shelton is in. Fetterplace didn't want to be undercut, so he is also into pit road. So big news from the leaders as they're both going to be into the pits for the first time this afternoon. Shelton up on the jacks. I'm not seeing anything going on there for Brandon Fetterplace, but he is off and away. 13 seconds in the box, and that allows him to close in that 2.3 second gap that he had when he came down to pit road. So Fetterplace right on the money with that pit stop window. Now he's right behind Shelton again. This battle for the lead still yet to be decided. Here comes Ethan Amber down to the pit road for the first time. The number 14 Mustang will be looking to no doubt take 4 tires in fuel. I'd be shocked if he didn't. Oh, look out. Hard into the wall goes Scott Leonard. Leonard picking up the throttle too aggressively, exited turn 1. And meanwhile, Brandon Fenderplace has taken the lead. Ryan Shelton's dropped it. Shelton dumped out of the lead. Christopher Darling into second. But Darling still has to pit. A huge, huge mistake, though, from Ryan Shelton, the dominant car of the afternoon. Just lost it on cold tires and got punted up the rear by Fenderplace, who had nowhere to go. Brandon Fenderplace into the race lead. Take a look. Ryan Shelton lost it coming over the crest, and there was just nothing that Fenderplace could have done there at all. Just it's like shooting a fish in a barrel in that case, except you're not even trying to pull the trigger. So Shelton now stands about just under 5 seconds behind Brandon Fenderplace, right at the halfway point. A caution now would really save Shelton's bacon, because then he wouldn't need to push so hard to close in the gap to that 34. I am very curious, though, about just how aggressive Shelton is going to be in trying to get back to him. Well, all that's going on. Michael Mooney's into pit road. Dalton Powell's already into pit road. And it's a long stop for the Highline Motorsports number 51. 17.5 seconds in the box before he is able to get back out onto the racetrack. Just behind them, Stan Hausman and Joey Bear. Well, I say just behind. They're over a lap behind, but still battling for that seventh spot, sorry. Less than a half second separate the two of them, and Hausman's in a pit road. Joey Barrett stays out. And McDougall having another crash. The car was already wounded when he started to leave pit road. And just like so many, just rolling to a slow stop, trying to let through some traffic on the exit of pit road. Corey Hutchinson's in a pit road just behind. I think a lot of drivers now no longer waiting for that safety car to get their stops done. Remember, though, the big question that a lot of these drivers, particularly the top two and specifically, are asking is, where's the fuel going to lie? Yes, a one stop is possible if you're running faster than 1 minute 30s, but it's a huge risk. And you're going to be burning a lot of fuel trying to keep that pace up. So it would be extremely tight. For all these others like Darling, Ambert, Powell, they're already good to go to the end. They're not going to have to pit anymore. It's all about that intrigue about where this race is going to pan out. Still waiting to see where Joey Barrett's going to come out in all of this. Joey Barrett still has yet to come down into pit road. Stan Hausman, the main driver he's battling with, has already come down to the pits. I think Joey Barrett wanted to stay out for an extra lap just to try and get some clean air. Really run that pace out. Now he's into the pit lane. And is into pit road quickly. So Stan Hausman coming through the plaza section. Might be able to retake that spot with fresh rubber. Joey Barrett just now coming off the jacks. And he's away. But there's Stan Hausman right in the background coming down the front stretch, and it's not even close. Stan Hausman breezes by Joey Barrett into 8th. Corey Hutchinson with another problem on the racetrack as he's found the wall. This is entering the plaza section. Just dropped it on entry and into the outside wall. Ryan Shelton is on a tear right now. He has just put down a 1:28.9. Same lap times he was setting in qualifying. And he's now within 1.3 seconds of Brandon Fetterplace up the road. So Fetterplace now, no doubt, looking in his mirror, knowing he's got a charging 99 that is real hungry to get that spot back. .6 the distance. Between 1 and 2 seconds consistently for the last 3 laps. He's been taking it out of that number 34. And still looking to close the distance. 19 laps to go. Shelton, no doubt, seeing red. He knows that that mistake was his own mistake. He had nobody to blame but himself. And he is trying to see if he can gun it and go 2 for 2. Gap down to a second. Where does Shelton look to make this move? Where does he try and get it done? Looking like, oh boy. We got some trouble up the road here. That's going to let Shelton close right in. Stan Hausman, and is that, yeah, that's Benazzi Major. Both having issues. Oh dear. What has happened to this one? So Major coming down in towards turn 7. Just straight on. And Stan Hausman comes in and nails him because Benazzi Major just pulled onto the racing line. Clumsy rejoin from Benazzi Major, but he's going to be able to try and get that car with a bit of, well, a little bit of extra speed at least. Fetterplace and Shelton continuing to scrap it out up the road. 4 cars remain on the lead lap. That could very well be only 3 by the end. And you can tell Brandon Fetterplace has stepped up his pace as well, knowing that Ryan Shelton is right there. Shelton's now caught dirty air, and that makes it ever closer to run down to the 34 up the road. On the binders, once again, approaching the plaza section. Lap traffic up the road. Going to be making these two a little bit nervous. Shelton very well could spy his opportunity if they catch that lapped car at an opportune position. Stan Hausman looking like he may have just had another problem. The car was already damaged, and then it came down towards turn 4. Oh, too hot, and boom, into the wall, big time. And that will cause his motor to expire, and game over. While this battle continues to pick up, you have to wonder if it'll come this time or if Shelton might have to wait for another lap. Looks like he'll have to wait one more. Tonight's race being brought to you by Twisted Steel Steak Appeal. It's got itself with a solid punch of sweet and heat flavor that lingers to let you know it's there. Plute's an SCA competition cook. He's revealed his secret recipe rub that'll blow you away with flavor. Good for steak, veggies, fish, pork, and poultry. It's a rub above the rest. And by Simrat Market, they offer a variety of products including number kits, overlays, vector smart templates, space design patterns, and track camera packages. Your #1 stop for all of your iRacing graphic design needs. And of course, by Tires Plus Total Car Care. From simple oil changes to brakes and alignments, Tires Plus has service that keeps you in the driver's seat. No end in sight in this battle for the top spots. And remember, that yellow flag still has yet to come out. Every lap that takes away, the chances of that yellow growing are higher and higher. It was going to be coming out anywhere between lap 3 and 3 to go. Oh no! Shelton drops it again! Right when he caught better place, Shelton throws that gap down the tubes as the 99 down and out. All of a sudden, the gap up to 7 seconds. A devastating mistake. He was losing that early, and he dropped that one trying to keep it out of Brandon better place. Didn't want to run into him. Michael Mooney will come down to pit road, and all of that takes us to just 16 laps to go with no end in sight to this race, and that yellow flag still yet to deploy. Goodness gracious, what a wild turn of events this has been. We're going to take ourselves a step back. We return. It'll be the rest of this race for the Chicago Street Circuit.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV. Just a dozen laps to go. Brandon Federer Place crossing that 12th go mark this time by. And boy, oh boy, the attrition rate is very quickly mounting, and it is mounting big time. Since we came to break, there's been quite a few incidents on the racetrack. We'll go through them in chronological order. First off, Corey Hutchinson and his Ford Motocraft 28 just goes in too hot into turn 4, locks it up on the right front, and nose it hard into the fence. When all that was going on, Charles Simmer had a little bit of an issue coming around to the plaza section. Josiah Vincent right behind him, and looking like he just pulled off to the side, helping to facilitate an easy pass. Bonazzi Major, though, did end up having a problem. Along with Ben Mashburn, they both ended up finding themselves with even more damage on those already wounded machines. Bonazzi Major down into turn 11 and just brought his car to a stop. Had to do a little flick spin to get her rolling, and then Ben Mashburn of his own up over the top through the plaza section, clipped one wall, then the other, slid down, and holy Toledo, who was that? That was Ethan Amberg that almost ran into the back of Ben Mashburn. Take a look again, and look at just how close this comes. Mashburn steps it out, and Amberg cuts to the inside and makes that a pretty easy run. Zedarius Days then, the last car to have problems once again going around, this time at the exit of turn 5. Picked up the throttle, spun it around, and that was all she wrote. Battle on for third. Ethan Amber picks up the third place spot. And that was because Christopher Darling botched turn 6. Overshot and had to readjust. All the while, the question still remains, who's going to come out with the race win this afternoon? It is still not yet over. Ryan Shelton still further behind, 4.5 seconds down the road. He has closed the gap in from the almost 8 seconds it was when he spun it out for the second time. And don't forget, still with that promised comp yellow still yet to fly. And it has to fly in under 10 laps. So you want to talk about intense. Well, that's going to get intense if this goes down to some of the final laps of this race. Right now, as it stands, Dalton Powell in that 5th place spot has the Brookstone Animal Hospital lucky dog because he is the lone driver. That is, I think, 1 lap down. He's got Josiah Vincent a minute behind, Christopher Darling a minute ahead. He is in the definition of no man's land right about now. Last time by, Shelton again quicker by about 0.2 of a second, just about. So this fight for the lead, it might look over on paper, but I promise you it is anything but over. Oh boy, somebody just clobbered the wall in turn 6. That was Scott Leonard. Leonard finding the wall in a big way on the right-hand side. Cuts back to the left to let Shelton through. And there's the yellow flag. We knew it was coming. And it hits with 10 laps to go. Right then. This drags everybody back together. And this race, folks, just kicked into overdrive. Ryan Shelton going to be able to restart right alongside Federer Place on this restart here. Federer Place looking to pick up the tail end of the iRacing safety car. All of that should be giving Dalton Powell the reward for the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog, so you will have 5 cars back on the lead lap. Dalton Powell up 8 positions, into the 5th place after starting way down at about 13th. And he'll get 1 lap back to put himself onto the lead lap. Once again, coming up on Greenflight TV on Sunday, the Classic IndyCar Series swings out to the Michigan International Speedway at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time for their second of 3 Triple Crown races on the season. Their first one was at Pocono about a month and a half ago. That evening, we know the ASR Next Gen Cup Series will be racing at Mobility Resort Motegi. That race will likely be tape delayed, though, and re-uploaded on either Tuesday or Wednesday. And then Monday night, the High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Series will be out at the Darlington Raceway, 9 o'clock p.m. They're going to be in for a good show themselves, as they'll be racing at the Lady in Black to see who will be into the Final Four. It's been a wild ride for quite a few drivers throughout this field here this afternoon. I'm not expecting anybody to come down to pit road, but you know what? We'll see. There may very well be a few takers that come down to the pits, and I mean, if you got a lot of damage that you want to get fixed, you know you're not in it for the win, may as well, right? You got a good caution here. You don't have to risk losing too much, especially since the majority of the field is on different laps from one another. Lap traffic is going to be the big ticket question for the top few now. Sure enough, Josiah Vincent's in the pit road. Scott Leonard, Carl DeCharles, Charles Simmer, Stan Hausman, Devin Purog have already been in pit road. So a total of 3 make that 4 coming in. Joey Barrett pits just behind. I think that's Josh McDougall that just came to pit road. And Dalton Powell going to be able to get the going to pick up that lucky dog, so he'll become the 5th car to be on the lead lap. We'll wait for him to catch the tail of the field, but we are going to hope to get a word with him under the safety car period here, provided we don't come back to green too quickly. This could be big for Powell, though. This effectively guarantees that he is going to be finishing at worst 5th, so long as he doesn't find himself knocked out of competition this afternoon. And, I mean, if the top 2 take themselves out, who knows? I mean, they've been going at it for a while. Ryan Shelton has self-spun twice. Lights are still on aboard the iRacing safety car. So not expecting this to be much of a change. Dalton Powell absolutely hustling right now, trying to catch up to the tail end of the field. So your running order as it stands: Brandon Fetterplace, Ryan Shelton, Ethan Amber, Christopher Darling, Dalton Powell, all on the lead lap. Michael Mooney and Josiah Vincent are down in pit road. Sorry, they're down a lap. Joey Barrett's in pit road. Munati Major runs 9th, Scott Leonard 10th, Tim Branson 11th, then it's Carl DeCharles, Darius Days, Corey Hutchinson, Josh McDougall, Charles Simmer, Ben Mashburn, Stan Housen, Devin Purog, Martin Plout, McFadden, Taylor Anderson, and Mystical. On the bottom 6 or so, all out of this race. Everybody else just running wounded race cars. Powell still looking to have a good run here as he's going to be lining it up at the tail end of the field for the restart. You see a few of the drivers that had pitted starting to catch the tail of the Iverson Pacing line. Pace car lights are out. We'll go green flag racing with just 6 to go. So it's about to get intense at the Chicago Street Course. Dalton Powell picking it up at the head of this field, and we'll see where he's going to be lining things up. So with him just about to catch up to the tail end of the field, we'll see if we can't get in touch with your 5th place runner here as he's catching the tail end of this pack. Dalton, this is Noel Remmel. If you're not too busy, do you got a copy?
Yeah, what's going on, brother?
Well, not much up here, and for you, it was looking you're in no man's land, but now you're back up there with the leaders. You're the last car on the lead lap. Do you reckon you can get any better than 5th with 6 laps to go here?
We'll see being dropped to the end. I just got back home from vacation. I had like 10 minutes of practice, so if I can finish here, I'd be more than happy with it.
Points-wise, it's looking to be a good afternoon for you. Do you reckon this momentum could be good for you coming into the upcoming weeks?
I hope so. I know my first week was last week, and I got DNF, and it didn't go too well for me. So hopefully this will help me get the meter going my way.
Still a long way to go. We'll let you get back to work. You'll be restarting in 5th place here. It should be a good one with 6 to go. Good luck.
I appreciate it.
Dalton Powell, the driver for Highline Motorsports, currently running in the number 5 spot out of Jacksonville, Florida. Field stacked up, doubled up, ready to get back to it. Oh boy, Charles Simmer having to spin under caution, trying to catch the tail end of the field. And that's down at turn 1. Just drops it on the exit, too much throttle. Harmless little slide, and he'll get it back rolling. We'll pull those belts tight. We're about to get back to it. Fetter places number 34. Going to be in control of this restart. Ryan Shelton starts to his inside. Green flag's back in the air. 6 laps to go from Chicago. Fetter place clears down to the turn 1. Shelton picks up 2nd. Darling 3rd. Amberg 4th. No problems through turn 1. No problems so far through turn 2 for the leaders. Brandon Fetterplace is on an absolute tear, trying to see if he can stay out in front with this race lead. Shelton was closing in, though, even before the caution. And we'll see if he can continue to reel that gap in. But for now, Fetterplace pulling away. Oh, look out! Shelton sideways! Down in the turn 6, he's able to hang on. The 99 going for a ride down in the corner. And Christopher Darling is probably thinking to himself, how in the hell did we not just wreck there? That 11 car was so close to cleaning out the 99 and vice versa. Shelton with an absolutely incredible save down to turn 6, but that lets Fetterplace walk out a 1.2 second lead. But Fetterplace catches the wall coming off of turn 11. Back into 12, the 34, hanging on. Ryan Shelton closes in, 0.8 of a second, 5 laps to go. Oh, Charles Simmer going around again down at turn 6. Turn 6, man, it claims drivers like the cars for breakfast meal is going out of style. Just kicked the tail end out, caught the rear bumper, but other than that, all is well ends well. Feder Place continues to hang on, but the gap down to half a second. Shelton got really lucky, but he's lost it in turn 6 2 different times. If he loses it again, it will cost him a win. Christopher Darling is dropping back. This is a 2-horse race. Boy, he is really applying the pressure to the Bowie Esports number 34. Both of these racers chasing their second wins of the season. And Shelton trying to go back-to-back. 4 to go, time running out. Fastest lap of the race, last time by, Shelton put down a 1:28.8, faster than his pole time. Tim Branson, Josh McDougall both having problems again. McDougall is faced the wrong way in the plaza section. And he just lost that one on the throttle entering the corner. That was down to turn 8, and then here was what happened to Tim Branson a little while earlier. Oh, caught the inside wall at 9 and then lost it on the approach to 10. The top 2 leaving Darling in the dust. 3.6 seconds back to Darling. Only 3 laps at the line. Feder Place is feeling the pressure. He knows if he lets Ryan Shelton get to his inside, it is as good as over. Up until he spun for the first time, Shelton was the dominant car, having led every single lap, but he will not get the point for most laps led. Feder Place the last time by actually put down his personal best of the race and his first lap into the 128s all night long. So he's finding some new speed under pressure. Shelton down to 3/10. Into turn 4. Feder Place hangs on. Turn 6 is one of the big passing points on the racetrack, but Shelton didn't get a good run. Coming around through the plaza section with just over 2 laps to go. Lap traffic a little ways up the road. Oh, and a shot to the shorts! Shelton going for the bump and run on Feder Place. He got there, gave him the hit, but it couldn't move him through 11. The lapped car will pull itself into pit road. One of them will, but now Shelton dropping even more. 2 to go. Boy, you wanted entertainment in the closing stages? You sure got it. Shelton giving it everything. Right now, we're seeing unstoppable force meeting immovable object. One of these drivers walks away with their second win of the season. The other is sent packing. And don't forget, you still have some of that lap traffic up the road. Josh McDougall pulls it to the inside, lets the leaders through. Does not want to get involved in the battle. Turn 6 is one of the best passing spots, but it has been Shelton's Achilles heel all day. Oh boy, I think McDougall may have just found the wall again. He heard a big crunch into the fence. Oh boy, just a quarter of a second. Shelton is right there. How aggressive is he going to be? Fenderplace goes defensive. Cuts back to the racing line, but made sure Shelton couldn't go for the dive bomb. 0.3 of a second, 1 lap to go. Final lap from Chicago. Shelton seeing if he can't close the back of Fenderplace. Looking for the inside into turn 2. Can't get there, he's into the wall. But that sets him up with the mother of all runs. Just a 10th, Fenderplace blocks. Shelton to the inside, into turn 3, side by side on the approach to turn 4. Shelton holds it down on the bottom. Can he get there? They come together. Fenderplace into the wall. Shelton trying to sneak through. Fenderplace pinches him in for 5. But Shelton's through. Shelton takes out Fenderplace, goes for the lead. Does the 34 have any response for Shelton down to the turn 6 and beyond? Down to 7, Shelton twitches the back end out. Fenderplace quickly running out of time if he wants to fight back. The U.S. Air Force 99 trying to hang on, but Fenderplace is closing. Oh, but he swings too wide. Fenderplace throws it away. And Shelton gonna come through turn 12. And just like that, Ryan Shelton, back-to-back wins. He wins it at Chicago. But boy, oh boy, was it ever in controversial fashion with this aggressive dive to the inside of turn 4. To be fair to Shelton, he was in there. He was alongside, and Fenderplace tried to shut the door. There was nowhere Shelton could have taken that move, and Fenderplace found himself in the wall. And that will see Ryan Shelton through and into the race win. What a wild ride this afternoon. And an absolutely insane finish with a last lap pass to boot. You know, I've called a good number of races at this facility, but none of them have been as entertaining as that, especially in the closing stages. That caution came out at such a good point. It was looking like it was over. And then the dominant car of the afternoon taking himself towards victory lane at the end of the night. He'll work his way off of the final corner, and now after his victory lap, he'll get his chance to celebrate down to the front stretch, and what a drive that puts Shelton into his second win of the season, going back-to-back from Japan. Burnouts galore all across the Windy City banners. And with all of that said and done, let's take a rundown of what your official results look like at the end of this absolutely insane drive this afternoon. Shelton with the win, 1.3 seconds. Brandon Fenderplace second. Christopher Darling was third with Ethan Amberg in fourth. Dalton Powell closes out the top 5. 2 laps down was Michael Mooney, Josiah Vincent, and Joey Bear with Scott Leonard and Tim Branson rounding out the top 10. From there, you had Carlton Charles, Sadarius Days continuing down through the field. You had Josh McDougall, Charles Simmer, Corey Hutchinson, Stan Hausman, Ben Mashburn, Devin Purog, Martin Blue, Jason Taylor, Mark McFadden, Bobby Anderson, and Matthew Mystical closes out the field on an absolutely insane drive this afternoon. Could not, I cannot stress enough just how incredible of a finish that was. And we'll get the chance to speak to all the drivers at the end of the night, as we'll look to bring it up first and foremost with the one that comes home with the race win at the end of things. It was a wild final lap there for Ryan Shelton. Ryan, it was a very up and down race for you all throughout. You were able to come through. You took the win at the end. You were a dominant car. You spun twice. And at the end of it, it almost came and fell apart again on that final lap. Kind of talk us through it.
Yeah, it was a pretty wild race, just in general. You know, I don't know what happened on that first one where I spun and then the loop. That was a weird thing. The car just came out from underneath me. I don't know what happened. Ended up, having some damage from that. I think Better Place may have not taken tires on the green flag stop that we made. I think that gave me enough speed there at the end to be able to make a move, or at least attempt to move. I'm not exactly sure what happened on the last lap. I might have to go back and look at it before I say anything about it, because I have no idea what happened. But it was really good racing him. I try to keep it as clean as possible, and I had to avoid him a couple of times because I'd over driving. And he was driving normally. I was just over driving and making mistakes. So, but I'm glad to have a damaged car here in Victory Lane.
So far, you're 2-0 on defending champion Jason Gracias here this afternoon in terms of race wins, and now make that 3-0 for podiums as well. Overall, it's looking like you're once again going to be a strong title contender. What do you think next week you're going to be able to go 3 for 3?
Yeah, I mean, Gracias, yeah, we had our issues in Indy, and then Motegi was just a weird race. And then, of course, tonight he took his provisional, but I do think that he's going to come back next week, and it's Richmond. Last year, he was the fastest car. I ended up getting in front of him there at the end, so we have history there. I want to go back and I want to win that race, but he was dominant at Richmond last year, so I really think that that's going to happen again, so we'll see.
Well, we'll see how things are going to pan out for you when we return in 1 or 2 weeks. I think it's 2 weeks, though, to the action track. It is 1 week. Look at me, mixing my schedules up. But we'll see you next week when we swing on down to the action track in Virginia. For now, congratulations on going 2 for 2 this afternoon in Chicago.
Thank you.
Ryan Shelton takes his second win of the season and back-to-back wins at that. We'll move on down to Brandon Fetterplace, who has so far done the hat trick for podium finishes here this afternoon. And Brandon, I do believe this puts you in every single different step of the podium that we've had here in the season so far. But 3 podiums, it's an absolutely monumental start to your season so far. But, boy, 1 more. What would have happened there on that final lap? Do you reckon things could have gone differently?
Yeah, it's just one of those deals. I don't, had I not overdrove turn 2 a little bit, locked him up a little bit, it gave him the run down that straight. I think it would have been a much different ending. The very next set of corners where we made contact, I actually seemed to be faster through there all race long, but that's a very narrow corner, and it is what it is. I did what I thought I needed to do, and I didn't know how both of us were going to make it through that corner, and well, I guess we really didn't.
Well, overall, you're still in for a huge bundle of points this afternoon. That should still be enough to allow you to maintain that points lead throughout the course of the afternoon. Richmond's coming up next. Do you reckon 4 for 4 for podium finishes is on the cards at the action track?
I think it's definitely possible. Richmond is a good track to me. I really kind of enjoy that track as well. So You know, I'm going to put in a little bit of time and hopefully I don't make any silly mistakes like I did tonight. And we'll see where we end up. I'm feeling pretty confident about it.
Overall championship-wise, you're definitely looking to be one of the big contenders for the afternoon. Who would you put down as some of the drivers you're going to have to look out for throughout the season?
Obviously Ryan. I mean, you know, he always seems to be there up front. Actually, I think Christopher Darling is another one. He's always in the top 5. You know, there's quite a few of these drivers that, you know, they may not have did really that well tonight, but you know, whenever it comes to the regular ovals, they do pretty well. So Manazzi Major, you know, I've raced with him before. I know he's pretty fast. There's just a lot of names that I can mention. I've left out quite a few, but you know, hey, we got to keep on fighting.
Well, no doubt the fight will continue next week in Virginia. Thanks for taking the time to join us up here, and congratulations on number 2 this afternoon.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Brandon Fetterplace comes home 3rd place this afternoon for the driver out of Cincinnati, Ohio. And Christopher Darling, we'll see if he is busy enough. It looked like he may have been preoccupied. We'll see if he's available. Chris, you got time to talk to us from 3rd here?
I got you.
Ah, there we go. We did manage to get ahead of you this time. But, well, Chris, you're able to come home 3rd place after what was a very, very much a race of attrition this afternoon. And you had a front row seat to what was going on there with Shelton and Fetterplace on that final lap. And thought for a moment you were going to be right up there with them.
Yeah, listen, I am not good at road courses. I'll be the first person to admit that. So 3rd place is definitely a win for me. Those two taking each other out, you know, you don't want to say you want people to wreck, but I wanted them to wreck tonight because that was wild to watch.
Overall, you're still able to come away with a decent handful of points in 3rd. You were 4th in the points entering today and tied with Amberg and Shelton for that 3rd place spot. So it looks like 3rd place of the points pretty secure for you as it stands. Overall, what do you reckon the next few weeks are going to look like for that number 11?
I think we're just going to try to keep staying consistent, looking for a little more speed. I know I got Richmond coming up. I'm usually pretty quick there. So Michigan, I mean, those are 2 really good tracks for me usually. So hopefully I could just, you know, put some time in and find some speed and keep up with all the front runners. And I don't know, maybe we'll sneak out a win, hopefully. So we'll see.
Well, fingers crossed. We'll see you when we go racing next week at the Action Track. Congratulations on the final podium spot this afternoon.
Thanks, Nolan.
Christopher Darling comes home with that 3rd place finish out of Harpersville, New York, and that is going to do it for our podium finishers here this afternoon. Boy, oh boy, what a wild, wild race we had here this afternoon, and there is still a lot more yet to come as well when we go racing just 1 week from now down to the Richmond Raceway. Before all that, though, the ASRL Next Gen Cup Series will be out at Mobility Resort Motegi on Sunday night. And just a few hours prior to that, the Classic IndyCar Series will be out for race 8 at the Michigan International Speedway at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And don't forget as well, the High Tide Racing League and Race Designs Cup Series will be out at Darlington to kick off a new week on Monday night as we march on into the month of August. If you want to find out more about who we are, what we can offer you, check us out today at www.greenflytv.com. My name is Ola Rampo. Thank you so much for joining us here on what was a wild run from the Windy City. We'll see you next week in the Action Track.